Hi, Michael. My name is Marco. I am a biologist from Portugal. I worked for a few years as a researcher where I specialized in invasive species in the Tagus River. And currently I'm working as an independent contractor and I'm taking care of a part of the educative project of the Vasco da Gama Aquarium, where we are having this conversation. And I'm also a guest curator of the museum that we are right now in. So welcome.
Thank you, Marco.
And could you tell me maybe a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, short presentation. My name is Michael Palmgren. I'm from Sweden, in Malmö, the southern part of Sweden. I'm the director of Marine Education Center, and I have been working with the ocean since I started diving in 1975, so it's quite a long time, and I've been in quite a long journey over the years as an independent researcher for the Öresund area when they built the bridge, for instance. But since over 20 years, we have been working with ocean literacy and marine pedagogic for school children and from the smallest one, preschool up to students at the university. But since a couple of years ago, we worked also with the public. So we have a visitor center, a national visitor center in southern Malmö, where we talk about the ocean, the Öresund area, and everyone, hopefully they got ocean literate.
Okay, that's great. Do you have any idea of how that work of yours has impacted the community that you have around you?
Yeah, we meet a lot of people. We each year we have roughly 6,000 school children in our program. That as long as 3 hours, so they are there for investigating the ocean in waders or in wetsuit or on one of our boats. So we take care of the ocean programs, and then we also have the public coming in, as you have here at the museum, aquarium. So I think we have right now 35,000 visitors coming each year, and hopefully some of those will be more ocean literated.
Will be inspired.
And inspired.
Yeah, they will be inspired by what they're seeing there, yeah. Right?
I think when you first got to the ocean and then get into the ocean and became in one with the ocean, swimming, diving, snorkeling, that's a fascinating thing. And every kids or grown-up who does that going to be inspired of the beauty you have in the ocean. And it's so pristine, so you need to really get people more concerned about our ocean. We have only one.
You need to be able to build an emotional connection, right?
Yeah.
So that people feel invited to protect something that they love, which is a feeling that we can all share, right? It's an ideal that we can all achieve.
Yeah, you have been out of the ocean. You can feel the smell of the salty water or the algae, and when you jump in, you feel it.
The physical experience
yes.
that allows that memory to set in.
Yeah, all
right?
the senses ticks in, and that moment, it was so for me when I started diving in '75, and that moment just brought me, okay, this is lovely. I want to continue this.
It's the possible birth of a new conservationist or a new researcher, or
Yes.
or at least of someone interested.
Yeah, and hopefully what we're doing here in Öres, you doing here, and what we do in Malmö, is just connecting people to the ocean, and they feel that they belong within this community, the ocean community.
Because in that sense, Portugal and Sweden have a lot in common. We are seafaring people, right?
Yes.
We worked the ocean for thousands of years.
Yes.
Since before we were called Sweden or Portugal, right? So we have this deep connection with aquatic beings and aquatic resources. And we have it ingrained in our culture, in our literature, in our religion,
Yeah.
In our lifestyle, right? There's a lot of it that is about the ocean, and we also have another nice thing in common. We are basically the same amount of people. Sweden is about 10 million people, right?
Yes.
Give or take.
Yeah.
So Portugal is also within the same amount of population, except that the areas of our countries are a little bit different.
A little bit different, and,
Yeah. And
the weather is
yeah,
different.
the weather is different for sure. But we can definitely share some kind of experiences, create some bridges.
When we first talked about the ocean, you can actually see the similarities between Portugal and Sweden, as you say, as a maritime history background. And this we can actually use for turning our emotion and people awareness of the ocean, because I think we have only one ocean. We have one ocean we have to take care of, and that's our job, to inspire others to become ocean literators.
When you're doing this kind of job, you need to take advantage of every weapon that you have at your disposal, and heritage is a very good one, right? Because people feel connected to the land that they were born in, and if you can give to them a reason to protect it, they are a lot more inspired to do so, a lot more they feel that they need to, that they have something of a debt to pay to the land where they are born, right? Yeah. So you can definitely take advantage of that and try to show them that there is a way to do this, that they can impact the territory positively. And in the scope of the project that we are talking here, it's in fact the local action, right? You can make each one of those people a drop.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You can turn them into drops that make the waves.
Yes, and ripple turn come from Sweden all the way to Portugal, yes, or to Italy, or
because even if we don't share the same sea, we share the same ocean. Right? We are in the same the same connection. The things that happen in Sweden can affect the things that happen here, and the things that happen here will affect the things that happen in Sweden.
Yeah, and I think if we can work together closely, more closely, I think that will benefit everyone's work, what you're doing here and what we're doing up in Malmö. So closer contact to each other and about the ocean. And we need right now to invest in nature, in the cities, for the future, because we can't, the climate change has a big impact on us now. We need to change
it.
Yes.
But it's also impressive how we can feel it, and at the same time we are not witnessing a larger call to action or actual action towards preventing it or in some way minimizing it, right? Not just in our countries, but worldwide.
Yes.
Right? So this is the true crisis. It's like an ideological crisis. The message is not getting through to everyone, and in a world that is ever more globalized, and therefore it should be easier to give everyone this message and to pass it around, right? It seems like there are people who simply are not in the same page. We're not getting into the same page as a united species.
No, might be like it's have no impact on me, but it has an impact on you, the climate change. But if we see we are all together here, we need to change this way to the path we're taking. We have to change the perspective. So within the city, within quite 2-3 decades, we need more biodiversity in the city. We need to turn the away from asphalt and concrete. We need more bluer area, more greener area, because we need the possibility for the nature to take care of what we have caused under this.
You have brought here an interesting perspective, because at the same time we are talking about getting rid of asphalt and concrete, but the population continues to grow in most countries outside of maybe the Western world, where we're seeing decreases on births. And so how are we expected to fit more people, right, onto spaces without requiring more concrete and more asphalt? How are we able to do that in a sustainable way? Do you think you...
I think if we look at the nature, look at nature-based solutions, look at things we can do together with nature to grow the nature within the city. But that we have a tend to grow all the big cities. They want to be bigger and bigger and bigger. But here in Portugal, here in Sweden, we have plenty of land where there are less people living. So why must everyone come to the big cities?
Be concentrated, right?
Yeah, we need to...
in that sense, we are like bees. We make our little hives and we bundle together, right? And we don't like to leave the region where we were born many times, and we want to grow there, and then we spread and spread and spread.
But if we're looking at bees now, that was a really good one. What happened when they're too crowded in the beehive?
Yeah,
what happened?
It's too hot and they die.
They die or they leave.
Yeah, and they leave.
And they make new communities. I think it might be good to think...
To spread.
To spread. And see what nature actually do. Nature can survive without us, but we can't survive without the nature.
Of course.
That's so simple. And UN says that 2050, 68% of the population in the world will live in urban cities. So they can't live in asphalt and concrete. They need more greener. When you took us for a walk along the river here, it was soft air, really humble. You can feel the birds singing.
You could smell the flowers.
And smell the flowers. And there was the valley here, really beautiful. More of those in the city.
There was serenity and a sense of peace and calm.
Yes,
that we're not used to in our typically busy lives right now. There's actually a good debate going on right now here in Oeiras about should we build tall instead of wide, right? As a way to save land for greenery and for letting the wind pass. And have trees so that there is urban biodiversity, right? So the birds come and the bugs come. So, do you think that is also possible to concentrate people in a different kind of architecture, right? That maybe is not common for old countries like ours that are deeply rooted into medieval and pre-medieval concepts of building cities, right? So could that also be an interesting scope to play out?
I think that's one of the key features for if you still want to build in the city. But instead of building really tall houses, you need to include the green in those houses. I think that it can be done and had been done in Asia, for instance. They're better on doing this.
On mixing nature and urban development.
And I think also if we have a lot, this area will be a new community, new buildings here. If we first started with landscape architects, okay, how can we turn this plot to a really beautiful area, and then place some houses on that fits in the landscape. Instead, we do this, we build houses first, and then you have to, some
change the process, invert the process.
Yes.
Start with the green, put the gray after.
Yes.
Not with the gray and then put the green.
Yes. I think we can, we need to think harder and better and do a better job.
Yeah. Better job. We can definitely do that, and that's what we're trying, I think, to do every day, at least those of us that are working specifically on this subject, trying to inspire others to join our cause, and I think that's important. You were showing me a video yesterday of tuna returning to Öresund, right? And they were jumping around, and you spoke about tuna fishing, which is an economically viable, very viable way of exploring a resource, right? Economically speaking, was banned in Sweden, was illegal. And so now you had this opportunity to see these animals, these majestic animals hunting in nature, which is, I told you at the time, you were probably seeing something that for maybe the last 3 or 4 generations no one had seen. So you were witnessing the rebirth of a vision, right, of a memory.
Yep.
And in that way, I think that Sweden does set an example. And I have also had this experience by speaking with other researchers, not only from Sweden, but from Scandinavia in general. You are very practical. If you feel that something is wrong, you cut it. And that is a very interesting way of doing things because, well, it's simple, and often the simplest answer is the correct one. In science, we look always for the simplest answer. And so, in many other countries, they might be able to learn this practicality and this pragmatism from you, but I don't think that as a culture we are ready to give up on some benefits, let's say that, on some comforts, to have something like that back. Maybe because we don't know what it is, right? We don't know what happens if we stop fishing a certain species, right? Do we see them more often or not? Or are they still hiding under the waves? Yours is tuna, they're big, you can see them, but can this be applied to other areas, this practicality?
I think this is a really spot on, because what we actually doing is overfishing our ocean. That's it. We overfish the ocean with big trawlers. We can see it in the Baltic Sea. The cod is less, they're shrinking, they're smaller, and the herring and the sprat are now in such condition that it could turn the whole ecosystem around. And that's because we keep doing this overfish with trawlers. So we have to stop that. We haven't yet done it in Sweden, we have to stop it. And it will take a time before the ecosystem recover, but it can do it. But only if we do it now, because turn it too long, then we have a drop, and then we don't have back the cod or herring. And if we look at the Öresund, where we are, that actually was the first governmental appointment I had was 89 to 91. In that time, Öresund was a poorly over-eutrophicated, polluted ditch between Sweden and Denmark. It was a so bad condition that seals were dying in thousands, and something has to be done. So the government pointed out to the Lund University, okay, what will we do for the next 10 years for shifting this? At the same time, they did the Europe's largest infrastructure project, the Öresund bridge between Sweden and Denmark. Okay, that could have a massive impact, both of the salinity inflow to the Baltic and to the Ilras areas there. So Öresund was in bad condition in the 80s. But over the 90s, we have less eutrophication for the 5 rivers because we have done a lot of things in the rivers. We have built wetlands, ponds, and less of the agriculture came out, the nutrients from agriculture areas came out in the Öresund. And we built better sewage plants. We get rid of some of the outlets with toxic. And we built a bridge which actually really good, because all the pylons became artificial reefs with masses of mussels, massive schools of tiny fish, super nice. And then the fish stocks in the Öresund came back.
Okay. They were now feeding on that new ecosystem that you
Yeah,
built.
but the thing was, the key for all this was that we have banned the trawling in Öresund since 1932. So we have no trawlers in the Öresund region. So that was the key for the success. The mussels that covered
were getting destroyed, they now had places to thrive,
yes.
And so they created a community around
So
them.
we have only small scale fishermen. So in that case, we know the answer. Trawling must be banned. Okay, if we look at the tuna, as you saw the beautiful jumping tuna,
yes.
Somewhere 3 meters, 300-400 kilos. You don't get them here. They're super big. The biggest one, I think, was 475 kilos, a massive one. And they 70 kilometers in an hour and jumping a couple of meters up in the air. They were away for 55 years. 55 years. In the beginning of 1900, those areas was the best tuna sport fishing areas in the world. Hemingway was there. The Prince of Monaco were there. Everyone was there. Our king was there fishing tuna. And then in the late 50s, they disappeared. And now they're back. 8 years ago, we got some rumors that, okay, something happened now, something happened. We thought we saw tuna. Yes, and now they're here. Splashes, a massive of tuna. We can't fish them. We're not allowed to fish them. So we tag them. We have people from here and Italy helping us with tagging the tuna. And they have really tough job because the tuna here is much smaller. And they were massive.
And they're alive when you tag them, so you
and
have to fight them.
And they were alive when you tag them. So actually and now it's really nice because we can see that if we change, the nature have a possibility to grow, to even adapt and even recover.
Yes, because nature exists in a strategy of occupying every hole that it finds, right? So if you create those holes, very quickly it will try to claim them, right? Get them back and make itself more apparent to all of us. And in your case, very apparent.
But think of this as a fascinating story because we have one of the heaviest traffic area with ship. 35,000 big ships passing to this area. And now it might be the best ocean area in Europe. We have thriving eelgrass beds down to 11 meters. Beautiful, fantastic. We have massive of tuna now. We have sighted, we have whales coming in sometimes, as you have here your dolphins coming back.
Dolphins and a few whales every once in a while also, smaller whales.
Yeah, but they are outside. But this area was also a problem here.
Again, another bridge that connects us, right? It's a similar situation. We had a polluted area that in some way, through action and through some luck, recovered. And therefore, it allowed life to claim back this territory, right? So now we have, and again, we have the dolphins, but not because they just came back. They came back because cuttlefish came back. Yeah. And other small fishes came back, and so they were able to feed on them, right? Yeah. So you restarted, you hit the reset button, right? And fortunately, the computer that is nature rebooted without mistakes, right? And now it's functioning in a somewhat good way, on a good fashion. Right?
So I think we have all the answers. We know what to do.
We have solved some problems.
Yes, but we know what to do.
So now, what is stopping us? Is it?
Yeah. Why?
It's inaction. Is it some economical factors that go into this? Because you did lose a part of your economy that had to be shifted, right? But maybe now new economies will grow based on tuna sightseeing, for example.
They have the 2 recent years. There have been a lot of boats taking tourists out to look at the tuna, just for looking at the tuna. So a new industry have taken place.
So we adapted.
Yes.
Just like nature.
Yes.
Right? We found a way around the new problem. That is good, that nature coming back. We found a way to still have some kind of benefit to us without so much of an impact on the environment. So
I think what we actually want to achieve in this project, also BOSS project, and together with the 7 cities and the 5 countries, I think this is really important. We can change, we can get people more ocean literated. We can also look at the beauty of the ocean and turn around our quite narrow sight. We need to step out of the box and open our heart to the ocean and the nature. And we have just not explored the ocean enough. 15%, less than that, or far less than that, we have discovered in our ocean, in our planet, in the deep sea. So we have a lot to learn, not lot to discover yet. All the species we haven't found yet. There's a lot of I think it's 2,000 species each year we just discussed. Yes.
And they're all weird, which is a great characteristic to have because people love weird.
Yeah.
I used to say that people love two kinds of animals, the really pretty and the really ugly, right? And so we can use them as banners, as incentive for people to care about all the things around those animals, right? In the same way that we can get people behind caring for our pets, for cats and dogs and rabbits, etc. So you can have these banners for success, for mediation with nature, something that people can align themselves with. Behind you, you have a beautiful creature that did suffer a lot in Portugal. It's a monk seal, a Mediterranean monk seal. They are, I believe, the most endangered seal in the world. There's only 600 of them left. And Portugal, they don't live in the mainland. They lived in the islands, in Madeira Islands, in the desert islands of Madeira. And there used to be hundreds of them. And through the discoveries, from the discoveries to the 20th century, we basically destroyed the population to the point that there were only about 6 of them left. And in the past few years, through legislation, through funding programs, we are seeing them make a small return. Obviously, they're mammals, it will take a long time, but now there are 20-something of them, and they are starting to leave the islands and go to the other ones, the more populated ones, and so people are now being introduced again to them. And again, it's nature showing that it does have resilience, that it wants to come back.
You know the story about the whales that were almost extinct late 1800 when they were caught and slaughtered. The krill decimated because the krill feeds on
phytoplankton.
Yes,
and so now
and the poo was nutrients for the phytoplankton. So I think if we take out one species in the equation, it goes wrong.
It might crumble. Yes. The whole structure, right? You're removing a wall that might be a very important wall, and then everything comes crashing down. We have seen throughout human history that we have always had this ability to eliminate species from existence, all the way back to the woolly mammoth, right? We have always been very good at exterminating, and we are only now learning how to revive, right? How to bring things back. And that's, I think, one of the greatest developments in terms of conservation thought that we have had since the beginning of humanity. We are starting to change the disc. No longer just consume, 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 but also take care and maintain. So we talked about drops just a while ago, and what we're doing with this project is trying to create as many drops as you can so we can make a lot of waves. But we will find that some waves will crash on the shore, right? They will disappear. So how can we minimize how many waves we lose, right?
It was a tricky question.
Yeah.
I think it has to. We have to lose some.
We have to allow it to happen.
That's the learning curve. So what actually is really important, that's bringing the youth.
People, all people, not just the youth.
No,
all people.
All people.
Together into the project.
Yes, but so also the youth. Because I was here at the Ocean Conference. We hold a youth side event. 8 youth organization, and I was walking in Lisbon demonstrating why people in the main conference was only guys there in suits. There were all the guys, no women at all, in the front panel. And we're discussing important issues, but we need to bring in the youth in the decision room.
If you bring as many people as possible into the decision, then they will be interested in sharing those waves.
Yep, and I think that will be really great. We talk to everyone,
yeah.
but we give room for the youth to express themselves.
Yes.
And be listened to. I think that's important. I want more people, like when you started or when I started, to be equal, eager, curious for the next step in my career or my way to when I grow up.
Yes.
So we need to give room for those young, eager, tumbling people.
Children. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Really nice talking to you.
Yeah, you too. And I think we can keep talking later.